Schass doesn't know how to unmute his mic. It's unfortunate.
Oh, you hate to see it. You hate to see it. Some bound was to happen wrongly, as it often does. But anyways, as I was saying, first of 2 pods this week, David Kahn. First of 5 before you and I are in Hoover. Conference tournament season is fast approaching. We've had it on our radar for some time, and the picture is becoming more clear as to who some of the movers and shakers and contenders for those NCAA tournament spots might be. Those hosting spots, 16, those 8 national seeds. And we had a busy, eventful weekend across every league in college baseball, including some surprises. Teams like UC Irvine losing to UC San Diego this past weekend. Florida State making a statement, taking 2 out of 3 from Clemson in wild fashion. Mississippi State is 4-0 since firing their coach in the SEC. West Virginia won another series, but they weren't able to sweep. But still have taken control as Kansas got swept by Cincinnati. Not sure what's going on in the Big 12. And Iowa lost the series at Washington. Still have a stranglehold, if you will, on the Big Ten at this point. But Oregon may be making one of the most declarative statements, not as loud, though, David Kahn, as the one that Arkansas made at home against Texas this weekend, which leads me to, and thank you for joining us on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers here on the live stream on YouTube, wherever you may be watching or listening, the CSN podcast feed at Kyle Schass at SportsCon4. Who should be the number 1 team in the country, David Kahn? Because Texas stayed there in spite of getting swept this past weekend. For the first time ever, they lost all 3 games to the Hogs, and it came in Fayetteville.
It's a very interesting question, and it's one that's going to be hotly debated because in the most casual of terms, right, you go, well, you had Arkansas just sweep them declaratively. They outscored Texas 28-9 in the sweep. So you go, how are they not the number 1 team in the country? Let alone, they're not number 1. They're number 7, according to D1 Baseball. They're not even in the top 5 right now. So, and they were struggling before this weekend, but they came out and made a loud statement this weekend, sweeping the number 1 team in the country. I don't know if they should be number 1, but I definitely think they should be higher than number 7. That, I think, is a bit of a slap in the face to Dave Van Horn's Hogs after what they did to Texas over the weekend. And really, you take a look at some of these numbers. Arkansas is the only team in the country with 40 wins, right? They're 40-9. Texas is right behind them at 38-8. Texas actually has a slightly better winning percentage than Arkansas overall, 38-8. Arkansas 40-9. They have the 3rd best winning percentage in the NCAA. Texas has a better RPI. Texas has a better record in quad 1 and quad 2 games. This is Texas's only series loss of the year. And they're banged up, right? Jonah Williams, Adrian Rodriguez, Ethan Mendoza are all hurt. Jared Spencer's out for the year. Max Ballou possibly returning for the SEC tournament. We really don't know. He's been out with a thumb injury since the end of March. So Arkansas beat a battered Texas team. Not to take anything away from the Hogs. Still at a very impressive series sweep. But you do have to take all of that into account when you say, okay, they beat Texas declaratively, but they didn't beat the best Texas has been all year. And yeah, you play the team that's on the field. Arkansas can't control that, but that's why I think Texas hangs on to this number 1 ranking, at least, the way D1 Baseball and the NCAA puts it together. That's why I think Texas is still number 1. I think Arkansas is underranked right now. I don't think they should be number 1, but I do think they should be higher than 7.
I agree. Definitely underranked. I don't know where else you would move him, though, and that's the thing. I think out of principle, Texas should not be number 1 after dropping their first series. I get it. 38-8, 1-3 week for them, losing all 3 in Fayetteville. But as dominant as they were, undefeated through every weekend this season, you can't go on the road and get swept and still maintain that number 1 position. Just out of principle, it doesn't make sense. And the way things went down in Fayetteville, Arkansas kicked the crap out of them. Honestly, that's exactly what happened. They outscored them 28-9. They're the first of 40 wins, too. No other team has won 40 games. And I'm helping to at least add more merit to Arkansas's case to be number 1. And I think they should be inside the top 5, maybe number 3 after LSU lost 2 out of 3 in College Station. Arkansas, a team that a month ago was the number 1 team in the country and then started to scuffle, lost consecutive series. What was it, 3 in a row for Arkansas? But the way they were able to dismantle and neutralize this Texas team and this offense and get and find production up and down their lineup that they hadn't had over the last 3 weeks. Reese Robinette comes in Game 3 and collects 6 RBIs and hits 2 home runs. Reese Robinette hadn't homered since I called Arkansas series at LSU 2 years ago. He hadn't homered in 2 years. And he comes in and hits 2 bombs, collects 6 RBIs. And the balance that you got between the lineup and the pitching staff from Zach Root with a career high in strikeouts, I think it was 14 in game number 1 on Thursday night, where it was 9-0, 10-0. I mean, they demolished Texas early and often. I mean, that game was over in the second or third inning. And then to be able to get this newfound formula, the calculus that Dave Van Horn has instituted here successfully, is moving Gabe Gackle back into a reliever role, who typically had been a reliever up until this point and was thought to be your bona fide number 1 Friday night starter. And then Zach Root, the ECU transfer, would take the reins in game number 2. Instead, Root has become the number 1 guy. Gackle struggled as SEC play got underway in that starting role. And now he is backing up Gage Wood, who is healthy. And that 1-2 punch in game 2 of the series proved lethal against Texas this past weekend. But the run production, the guys coming off the bench, from Justin Thomas Jr., who has asserted himself as the dominant center fielder for Arkansas, to Ryder Helfrich and him continuing to hit behind the plate. The Aloy brothers, I mean, holy smokes. I mean, those guys, that punch, the Bash Brothers, as they are being branded for Arkansas. On top of all of that, you had 32,960 fans, all with horns down, including Will McIntyre with the graphic of the W win. Here's an early SDA, social display of affection, with his hand behind his back during the national anthem, his hat across his chest, and he's having the horns down, holding it behind his back. Just perfect poetry from an Arkansas standpoint to take it to Texas in every way. And finally, Kahn, what Texas didn't do this past weekend, they came in 19-2 in the SEC, right? They averaged 6.3 runs per game, 264 batting average. ERA was 2.98. That ERA ballooned to 10.50 over those 3 games, just across the 3-game sample size in Fayetteville. 10.50. They only hit 167 as a team, and they scored less than half their run output entering the weekend at 3.0 runs per game. That is a loud, extremely violent, vicious statement that was made by Arkansas, and you've got to penalize Texas in some way, some fashion. And some of the polls did. The D1Baseball.com poll did not. The one that is adopted by the NCAA that they use on their website, Texas still sitting at 1, Florida State at 2. Remember, they missed the Virginia series a few weeks back. They're only 33-10. And then you have LSU 38-11. North Carolina only played 2 games. They're at number 4. Oregon moving up to number 5 at 33-13. I think that's accurate after dropping game 1 at Michigan State and winning the next 2. But Arkansas, I think, flip them with North Carolina. Penalize North Carolina for taking an exam break, if anything, or keep Florida State behind Arkansas as well, because they missed an entire weekend, albeit I know not their fault.
So I agree with you on Texas not being number 1 anymore. I would actually, the way I would rank it is I would flip Texas and Florida State, because Florida State had a whale of a weekend against Clemson. Really, any team in the color of orange, tough weekend for you. Texas, Clemson, Tennessee, tough weekend. I would put Florida State number 1 right now, Texas number 2, LSU 3, Arkansas 4, Oregon 5, North Carolina 6, Georgia 7. That's how I would do the rankings. You agree? Any changes there?
I can live with that. With that.
Yeah, because I think you do have to penalize Texas because of how loudly they got smacked. If this was a 3 1-run games like you saw with Texas and Texas A&M a couple weekends ago, yeah, sure, you can leave Texas at number 1 even if they lost all 3 games, because those are coin flips. These were poundings. I mean, Arkansas came out with a vengeance on Thursday and won 9-0. And it's like, oh, this is how this series is going to go. Okay. And it continued to go that way. So it's not like you had one power punch and then the other 2 games were tight. It was pounding by the Razorbacks. So I do think you have to penalize Texas at some point. I think Florida State certainly is worthy of being the number 1 team in the country, especially after what they did to Clemson over the weekend. So that's what I would do. Florida State would be my number 1. Texas drops 1 spot to number 2 because I don't think you drag them too much. They lost to a very potent Arkansas team that has the most wins in college baseball. Nobody else has 40 wins. So you can't penalize them too much because they lost to a very good team. So I would do that. LSU actually being at number 3 still surprises me after what A&M did to them over the weekend. I kind of thought they would drop a little bit more. Now, I get it. Texas A&M has won 4 of their last 5 series, and they are on an absolute heater. But LSU only dropping 1 spot kind of shocked me a little bit. I thought they may tumble out of the top 5.
Well, Anthony Ianson had a terrific outing to even the series in game 2 of this series. Early nod for my dude of the week. What he was able to do in shoving and bringing that series even at 1-1. A game, one of many SEC series, one of many across the South all weekend that were riddled by delays and postponements and double hitters. I think every series but maybe one in the SEC was impacted by weather. And we'll get to that because when we come back to Tennessee, I have some things to get off my chest in terms of way that series was managed, night number 1 on Friday. But if it weren't for Caden Sorrell of Texas A&M, LSU would be number 1 in the country. I mean, it was his swing in the 8th inning that propelled Texas A&M to the series win in that series finale on Sunday, a game in which LSU led, and then Sorrell had the 3-run bomb for the Aggies that helped lift them ahead into the eventual series win. So they've been able to correct back towards the success that they had before their trip to Austin when they got swept, all 3-run one games. But that Texas A&M LSU series was high-level baseball all weekend long. I don't want to dock or ding LSU too badly in terms of the rankings because they were on the road playing a Texas A&M team where the water has found its level, sort of with what we expected with the Aggies coming in. They're a much better ball club, and they played that way. They played to their preseason expectations this past weekend. I think LSU is right where we thought they would be. I don't want to hit them too hard, but my biggest thing just out of principle is I think Texas should not be number 1. You got to make some sort of statement. You can't create a precedent where the number 1 team can go out, get swept, and still find themselves as the number 1 ranked team in the country. An Arkansas team that we saw their best, okay? We saw what we expected from them offensively and on the mound all season, at least for the first, half of the season until, they hit that slide and started to backslide a bit, if you will, here over the last month. Now, water might find level and we might come back down to the mean with Arkansas where they're not going to look that way. The Arkansas team we saw against Texas might not show up every single game the rest of the way, but if they can somehow find that gray area and not be as bad as they were during that losing streak, I think this Arkansas team proved to us more than anything this past weekend that they are a legitimate Omaha contender and national championship contender with that sort of balance on the mound, both from the starters and the relievers. But to that lineup is just so potent up and down. I didn't even mention Kozel or Davalon. I mean, all these dudes, they just keep coming at you. And we saw it on full display against Texas. Texas A&M, along with the Aggies, Miami, they're red hot. They take
Holy
2 games.
smokes.
They didn't play a third game against NC State because of weather. Weather impacting that one in Coral Gables. Mississippi State said they're 4-0. They swept Kentucky. They played in front of 38,575 total attendees at the Dude this past weekend. I don't know if they showed out more in full force because Chris Lemonis was fired or because it's just another weekend at the Dude. But they rallied behind their team, and their team showed out for them in incredible fashion. We documented some of their crowds on last week's podcast. They hold, 20 of the top 21 baseball single game crowds all time. Mississippi State showed out, and Missouri falls to 0-24. Kahn, before we get to the Tigers, and you can give me some more morsels on the Bulldogs and the Canes, if you will, but I want to take you to Marklight Stadium and the Marklight Shake. Did you see the shake with NC State in town from this past weekend?
Oh, I actually didn't. Tell me what it was. I'm so curious.
All right, let me pull up the tweet. I think Darren Ravel had it. The latest Darren Ravel tweet that I had bookmarked was beer sales from this past year. Modelo, your top revenue driver for beer this year. Yes, Modelo ahead of Bud. Let me find that one since we're on the topic. I jumped that in my Chicago chat. Hang on a second. Modelo.
I'm trying to pull it up.
Modelo at $5.18 billion. Beer sales over the last year in the U.S. tops. Now, Modelo, Crown Imports, did a big sell in college athletics. We had a lot in our broadcast, some of our larger schools, P4 schools this past year, so that paid dividends. $5.18 billion for Modelo. Budweiser, $4.83 billion. Michelob, $3.74 billion. Coors, $3.13. Corona, $3.12, courtesy of Darren Ravel and Beverage Net on Twitter. That is not the Darren Ravel tweet that I wanted, but your reaction to the beer sales and Modelo being the flag bearer this past calendar year.
Stunned, honestly, very, very stunned. I would never have expected Modelo to reign supreme. Not that I don't like Modelo, but yeah, I'm very surprised by that. That is It is eye-popping. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to find the shake that
It's
is
got
it
a
the
it's got
spilled
a
one?
North.
Is it a video?
No. There's a picture. Darren Ravel had this on May 1st. So vanilla yogurt, vanilla ice cream, pulled pork in North Carolina barbecue sauce, topped with a mini pulled pork sandwich with coleslaw.
Oh my God. I want yes. Can we go? Can we get a trip to Alex Rodriguez Park? I need to have these. These are so good. Oh my goodness. That sounds incredible. I want 5 of those.
That actually does look pretty good. I saw a lot of the response saying overkill, too much,
No,
overblown. But
no,
that's what the
not
Mark Light
possible.
shake is. That's what it
Exactly.
is.
Yes. You know what's not overkill? Miami baseball either, because they've won 5 straight series, Kyle Schassberger, against Pitt, Duke, Georgia Tech, Boston College, and NC State. They're up to number 26 in the RPI. They're 14-9 in the ACC. This Miami team was put in the grave. I mean, people were like, the Hurricanes are bad this year. It's over. Forget about it. We're done. And they said, screw y'all. We're not done. We're going to compete for an ACC title. And here they are. I mean, goodness gracious. What this Miami team, the turnaround that they have done is absolutely equivalent to what Texas A&M has done, who's won 4 of their last 5, of course, albeit against much stiffer competition in terms of number 2 LSU, number 2 Arkansas, and number 1 Tennessee, 2 of those being on the road. Not taking away from programs like Georgia Tech and NC State who have had great seasons, but overall level of competition, advantage A&M. But still, it is very impressive to see what Miami has done, turning things around from basically being put out to pasture. And now they're like, oh, here are the Hurricanes. Here we come once again.
Mississippi State's Michael O'Brien. One more thing on the Bulldogs that I had. Did you see his play in center field? Speaking about other teams that are surging, Michael O'Brien gets inserted as a late defensive replacement. Right away, the ball gets hit at him, and he robs Devin Burke, Ken Griffey Jr. style, over the wall, reminiscent of what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago on the show with the home run robbery being on high demand. And that snag was terrific for O'Brien. Just another indication of things going the Bulldogs' way this past weekend, as they have been for the Hurricanes. Pulling up the ACC standings. You got those in front of you. I'm trying to get to them right now. Where is Miami at right now?
Miami is, I believe they vaulted to, I want to say 6th. I don't have them. Yeah, okay, I got them. They are, yes, 5th. Excuse me. I thought I saw 6th, but they are 5th. So it's Florida State 1, NC State 2, North Carolina 3, Georgia Tech tied for 3rd, Miami 5th, Clemson down to 6th. But all of these teams are separated by 3 losses and 1 win. So and Duke at 14-10 as well. So a very contentious ACC coming into the final 2 weeks of the regular season, especially when you think about the fact that 3 ACC teams were off this past weekend and 3 ACC teams were playing non-conference opponents. So there is so much to be figured out in the ACC, unlike the Big 12, which seems like West Virginia has basically put the lock in there, turned the key, swallowed it down their throat, and said, we'll take this. Thank you very much. So, you know, that's just the parity we're seeing in college baseball right now between 2 high-level conferences. The ACC, very much up for grabs. Now the Big 10 might be a little up for grabs with Iowa stumbling in Seattle this weekend. And West Virginia got the benefit of Cincinnati helping their postseason case and also just ripping the heart out of Kansas's hopes of being in the Big 12 race.
Well, before we drill even more deeply on the Big 12, unless you want to go to Tennessee and we could talk about the weather, even the strike zone, some of the umpiring this past weekend in the SEC especially. Let's one more thought on the ACC, because you called some games this past weekend at Wake Forest.
One game.
Okay, they only got one in, but who is 10th in the standings at 12-12, Notre Dame at 11, 12-15. The Irish are playing better, though. They took 2 out of 3 from Louisville at home this past weekend. Story time with David Kahn, though. Tell me about the Demon Deacons and what your experience was like Saturday at the couch, the boombox.
So always have a great experience at the couch. All right. Never a bad time. I am concerned with Wake Forest as a team simply because they played with their food this weekend against Gardner-Webb. Now, granted, the series was impacted by rain. Originally supposed to be 1 game on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Then it changed to 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. Then we didn't even get the final inning of the first game on Saturday in. I only called 8 innings. And then they suspended the game in the top of the 9th, tied at 3, played the remainder of it. That game went to extras. Wake Forest won that 4-3 on a walk-off walk. And then they played another game right after that Wake Forest had to come back from multiple times to win 9-8. They were trailing Gardner-Webb, who is, not a good baseball team. They haven't won a game since April 6th against Camp. It was forever ago. They had lost 7 in a row coming into the weekend. Their last series win was the end of March. They are just in dire straits right now. And Wake Forest played around with their food and almost, could have lost both of those games. So I'm a little concerned with Wake Forest right now. I did see Jimmy Keenan hit one of the most titanic home runs I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's so funny because I was literally talking about how Jimmy has struggled and was hoping that coming down to play in warmer weather would increase his power. And no sooner had I said the word power did he hit a mammoth home run. It was unreal. And he just boomed it 412 feet into the trees and left. It was an absolute tater. And I think I called it a rainmaker on the broadcast. And it was awesome. So that was really cool. They miss Ethan Conrad so bad. Dalton Wentz wasn't in the lineup either. They miss Ethan Conrad though drastically. They're missing that extra power boost. Merrick Houston's Merrick Houston, but I am concerned about the longevity of this Wake Forest team come postseason time. They'll make it, but I don't know if they'll make it out of a regional.
Okay, so you are buying the idea that they are an NCAA tournament team, though.
100%. I don't think they. Okay. I don't think there's any case to say they won't be. They have enough pieces, and they've done enough. But beyond regionals, I'd be surprised because they're what? They're 32-16, 12-12. They win at home. They're 22-7 overall. Like, I don't know. I mean, they have enough. They have enough. Do they have enough pitching behind? Hayden LaFew, Griffin Green, who gave up the tying run to Gardner-Webb. They've got some dudes in the bullpen. Logan Lunsford's obviously solid. Matthew Dallas has kind of become their midweek guy. It's very helter-skelter. I think you can see both sides of Wake Forest. You can see Wake Forest as this Herculean giant that has a ton of offensive production and some really good arms that could dominate anybody. And then you have Wake Forest that plays with their food that we saw over the weekend against Gardner-Webb. Now, maybe it was the Demon Deacons just played down to their level of competition and were like, doesn't matter. It's fine. It's whatever. But here's the thing. It does matter because if you lose those 2 games to a team with an RPI in the 200s, you are, boom, way down.
Yeah.
And they didn't lose, but, they didn't lose they didn't win by much.
Their non-conference strength of schedule, 135. They're 20-4 outside the league. But even still, you look at quad 3, quad 4, a combined 18-8. So they've got 8 losses to teams quad 3 or worse at 32-16 overall, 12-12.
They lost to Princeton.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in the longevity of this team for 2025. I think they're a good team. I just don't think they're a great team.
I will add on Florida State, who took 2 out of 3, and I agree with you. If we're gonna knight a new number 1, Florida State, in spite of missing a series against Virginia a couple of weeks back, still the body of work is there with the games that they've had to play. I guess to use the word penal, I love saying penalize and not penalize. Does that make me sound proper? Does that make me sound like like
you
royalty?
Do sound a little proper saying penalize.
Okay.
But I agree with you because here's the thing. That's been the trend. We were talking about it 2 weeks ago in college baseball when Georgia got dethroned. Right? That's been the trend in college baseball is you're number 1, you lose the series, you're not number 1 anymore. So why did we break the trend?
Yeah,
wait a minute.
We're breaking stride. But that Florida State Clemson series, there was a lot of drama, a lot of action, especially in the late innings. Florida State, who in game 1 erased a 9th inning and 10th inning deficit to be able to come back and win. Max Williams had the tying home run in the 10th inning, and then he had the game-winning single in the 11th inning. And I think it was the middle game, the one that Clemson won. They had like an inside-the-park home run,
Little league home run, Cam Canarella. Yes.
Yeah, it was bonkers.
They ended up calling it a triple and an error.
Triple with
Little league home run by Cam Canarella. Yes, which was FSU threw the ball all over the yard. I mean, it was tough. But yes, here's the thing. So I'm a little concerned about Clemson. Like, are they still going to host? Because they got swept by NC State and lost 2 of 3 to FSU. Right now, I think they're still in the hosting picture. But they have Duke and Pitt left. Teams that according to the ACC standings, Clemson is tied with Duke now at 14-10, and Pitt is horrible. Pitt is 9-15 in the ACC, 24-21. If they lose that series to Pitt, I don't think they will, but if they do, that could knock them out of the hosting picture. And they're only 7-6 in true road games this year, so that concerns me for the Tigers.
Can you throw some respect on Pitt's name? They're playing their best baseball of the year right now. They've won 5 of 6. They just swept Virginia Tech, and you're talking about how horrible they are. Yes,
Virginia Tech's lost 4 series in a row.
I know. I'm dogging you, but still.
I will never put respect on Pitt's name. I work for West Virginia.
To your point, and they play this week.
The Brawl tonight.
Yeah. Tonight. That'll be one of our games. We'll hit the lineup card on the way out as we continue to pour over this weekend's results. I missed an opportunity talking about the Mark Light Shake with NC State in town and the barbecue sauce, the North Carolina infused barbecue sauce, and the small, tiny pulled pork sandwich sitting on top of that shake. To drop a mention for Baseball Barbecue and baseballbarbecue.com. Promo code 3D-20. Mother's Day is coming up this weekend. We talked about all the grilling tools that she can use to her advantage, or you, the dad, the son, the brother, whatever it may be, to use to your advantage in cooking up something nice and delicate for mom on her day. But you can also get her some tremendous apparel as well, which I am donning today on the show. If you are watching on YouTube, Baseball, Barbecue, and Beer in white bold lettering on a solid gray tee with the letters going down, 3 lines of script. There's plenty of creative tees on the website, baseballbarbecue.com. Again, you get 20% off using 3D-20. Raw Talent, I wore that shirt the other day to the gym. You've got a couple as well in your closet, Con. If you grill it, they will come. There's Grillies, which is one of my favorite with the Phillies related script. Again, Baseball and Barbecue coming to you from Philadelphia. So big Phillies fans they are. Hot Grill Summer. You can get that one for Ma. She would love that. Hot Grill Summer with the Baseball and Barbecue logo across the top. There's plenty of options. Baseball and Barbecue Beer, again, is what I have right now. Baseballbarbecue.com. Promo code is 3D-20. All right, let's go back to Tennessee to hit the third leg of our orange teams that have tumbled. So Liam Doyle.
Oh, boy.
Let's start with game one. All right, game one Friday night. Much like in College Station, where there was no chance they were getting in game one with LSU and Texas A&M, it was like a hurricane. It was straight monsoon. I mean, you couldn't even see through the images. I mean, the water was it was pouring. I mean, these were just buckets upon buckets. The heavens were just trudging along on all of society in College Station. Much was the case in Knoxville and many other places. How do we start a game, allow Auburn to get a 2-run home run from Ike Irish, one that maybe Tennessee should have challenged? I don't even think Tennessee knew or Auburn knew if the home run was actually a home run in the top of the first inning in game one on Friday night. But before, and this is with Liam Doyle on the mound, okay? Liam Doyle, who threw, I wrote this down, but I can't find it. I put it on another note sheet. Oh, probably because of all the SEC tournament prep I had been doing over the weekend. Oh, no, I sent it to Gabe. Con, you would be so proud of me because I did so much. I chose SEC tournament prep over podcast prep in every imaginable way this past weekend. So bear with me here. But I sent Gabe this email because Tennessee is one of the teams he's responsible for. So Liam Doyle on Friday night had just the one inning he threw before the game was called and postponed, where they had to resume on Saturday because the heavens opened. How we got to a point where we even started that game, I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist, but it's a worse nightmare for any of these teams. But if there's any bit of doubt, why, if you're Tony Vitello, if you're Tennessee, are you risking Liam Doyle in that moment? Save him from game 2 at that point. Doyle went one inning, faced 5 batters, threw 23 pitches, and allowed the 2-run bomb in the top of the first to Ike Irish before the game was called and pushed into game 2. Into Saturday. At that point, the broadcasters at one point early Saturday had said Liam Doyle was done for the weekend. And I would think that would probably be the safe bet because otherwise his agents and representation would probably be coming over the top rope to lay the smackdown on Vitello and company
Frank
on running
Anderson,
him out there. Yeah. But as it would have it, Liam Doyle came out after they concluded game 1 on Saturday, which Auburn won, started game 2. Auburn was leading 4-3 in the 9th inning, this is later in the day Saturday, Dalton Bargo comes up, ties the game with a solo bomb in the 9th. We go to the 10th. Well, what happens when we go to the 10th inning? More rain. That game wouldn't be completed. So we didn't play a full baseball game, really, from the start to finish at all on Saturday. Mm-hmm. We played 8.5 innings on Saturday of one game to complete it. And then we played 9 full innings, but didn't complete a game on Saturday of game 2 of the series. So we go to Sunday. What happens on Sunday? We've got to resume game 2, tie, or 10-10, 4-4, 10th inning, tie ball game before game 3 on Sunday, regularly scheduled. And what happens? Liam Doyle comes in and he gets the nod. Doyle comes and shoves for what is 2 scoreless innings. He collected 3 strikeouts and got the win. But not only that, did you see the video of the benches clearing dust up, if you will, as Auburn tried to steal home at one point in extras against him? Doyle applied the tag after receiving the throw. I don't know if it was Cannon Peoples behind the plate at that point or not. Tagged him. Words were exchanged, and there was a dust up. No one was ejected. There were no punches. But the chippiness, to use a word that you had maybe last week it was, that was present between a Tennessee team that was on the verge, and eventually they did lose because they lost game 3 later on Sunday. They did win the extra inning affair over Auburn to tie the series where Liam Doyle got the win, but they've lost 4 of 5 series. But to see that energy crescendo, the chippiness, the back and forth between an Auburn team that is now back in the top 10, but the backdrop of all the weather, it was a bad situation from a weather standpoint. I wish things went differently. Liam Doyle could have changed the tenor of that entire weekend if he was able to get his start that he is more accustomed to getting.
You know, Liam Doyle was ejected.
Was he ejected? Okay.
Yes, and suspended. No. He was suspended for 2 games.
Okay. Yeah, enlighten me. I don't know, man. Tell me. What happened?
So Liam Doyle actually was ejected for that dust-up. Javero January ejected Liam Doyle. He got into the dust-up with Bristol Carter, who was the man who tried to steal home in the 11th. So Doyle got ejected. Carter did not. Doyle didn't remember the new rules this year. Starting pitcher rule is supposed to be ejected for 4 games or suspended for 4 games if you get suspended because you're a starting pitcher. However, Liam Doyle was a reliever in that moment. So his suspension is only 2 games, and he's already served 1 of them because they played a second game on Sunday. So the second game is Tuesday in the midweek for Tennessee. So Liam Doyle can start on Friday. He's fine. It's really the dumbest rule because he's not actually going to miss any game that he was going to play in. But because Liam Doyle was a reliever, they only suspended him for 2 games. So he served 1, and he's going to serve the other one tonight, and then he can pitch on Friday. So he's really not going to miss a start.
Beautiful. What a loophole. That works certainly to Tennessee's favor, but they have lost 4 of 5, and Auburn in the top 25 is now at 8. They're 8th nationally, 33-15, 3-1 week for them. They move up 2 spots from 10 to 8. Tennessee slides 12. No, that's not right. It's not 12 spots. Previous rank, they were 12. So they slid 3 spots to number 15. Auburn, again, moving up 2 spots to number 8. Okay.
Tennessee's got a tough road to finish, too. They've lost 4 of their last 5 series, and then they face Vanderbilt, who just won the series over Alabama. We'll get to that in a moment. And then they go to Arkansas to close the year. I mean, the Vols could not host at this rate.
No, that's
tough.
And Tony Vitello got ejected from the series as well because of the strike zone, which there were issues with this in College Station between LSU and Texas A&M at times. Just the discrepancies, the inaccuracies between certain pitches. People were voicing their concerns very loudly, none more loudly than Tony Vitello this past weekend as he got ran. And he made it a point to run out to each and every umpire over the weekend too and give him a piece of his mind before exiting stage left or stage right to his dugout and then flipping a chair and not throwing it, but just turning it over with authority at the top step also. So, some strike zone issues. That'll be something to monitor, certainly when we get to Hoover in 2 weeks. Wonder how much of a topic of conversation that might be and, where the accountability is because, we brought this up earlier this year. There are new reporting measures that are available to these SEC teams for transparency. You can't challenge in game like Major League Baseball experimented with during spring training. Okay, with the automatic ball strike, right? ABS, is that what it's called?
Yep, ABS. Yep.
Yeah, like that's not available in season for the major leagues, and it's not available for college baseball, the SEC. But the SEC has already instituted certain innovation, technological advancements to at least allow this data to be available to everyone to review after the fact and even during the game. So, there will be copious amounts of notes that will be reviewed between teams in the commissioner's office. And, you wonder if it renders some sort of it was that bad where you actually ask yourself, does this justify a statement or something that needs to be made? I don't know. We may be making too much of it, but trust me, we're not, because
it was bad.
It was bad this past weekend. You want to get to Vanderbilt?
Yeah, let's do Vanderbilt, because what a series that was, right? Vanderbilt and Alabama. Vanderbilt already has that like marquee series win when they swept Georgia earlier this year. And then the game against Alabama comes down to the final 2 innings. The series, comes down to the final 2 innings. Vanderbilt trails Alabama 7-2 in the 8th. And then here comes Braden Holcomb. Solo homer in the bottom of the 8th. So they trail by 5 in the 8th. Solo homer makes it a 4-run game. Colin Barcy hits a 2-run homer to make it a 2-run game. And then in the 9th inning, Brody Johnston, 2-out, 2-run single, tie game. Next batter, Braden Holcomb again.
The 1-2. That's swung on. That's hit hard towards center field. Bonamoto's back at the fence. This is way back, and it is gone. A 2-run walk-off home run for Braden Holcomb. The Doors win. Vandy wins. They take the series from the Tide. A season-defining swing by Holcomb. Final score, 9-7. Oh my goodness, the Doors win it!
Andrew Allegretta there on the Vanderbilt Sports Network from Learfield. As Braden Holcomb, 2 homers in 2 innings. Walk-off win for Vandy, 9-7, as they take the series over Alabama. And like Andrew said in that call, a season-defining swing for Vanderbilt, because they are on the uptick as they have a chance to play spoiler to, Big Brother in Tennessee this weekend. They go to Knoxville, Lindsey Nelson Stadium, to face off with the struggling Vols and possibly shove them further down the SEC standings. And Tim Corbin would love nothing more than to do just that. So big series win for Vanderbilt, and our Borgo Ball moment that delivered. Brought to you by the Backyard Baseball Bros. Go to backyardbaseballbros.com. Get your Borgo Balls. They sell quickly. They're coming out with limited edition Borgo Balls soon. Go check out their website. Is redefined. It looks clean as ever. Backyardbaseballbros.com. Go to get your Borgo Balls. We have them. We love them. That is our Borgo Ball moment that delivered. Brought to you by the Vanderbilt Commodores. And I want to venture to say that woo was coming from John Michael Morris, who we had on the podcast earlier this year.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's only in the middle innings normally with Andrew, but maybe he was up there.
He was the whole game.
No,
okay.
Maybe he's up there at that point. Backyardbaseballbros.com, by the way, clean look, dirty movement, built for backyard legends. Vanderbilt did that with 2 outs in the 8th inning. That's when it all started with Holcomb, too, which makes it even more spectacular. They were down 7-2 with 2 ways. The first 2 were retired in the bottom of the 8th inning, and then it all started with the Holcomb home run, the first of 2 across those final 2 innings as they pull away 9-7. Vanderbilt, RPI-wise, number 3, right behind Georgia and Texas. Then it's Vandy, Auburn, Arkansas. Top 5 spots of the RPI all belong to the SEC. When you look at the league standings, Vanderbilt at 14-10 and a tie for 5th with Tennessee, 34-14 overall. Speaking of the standings, then we can pepper some of these other results, take a break, come back. Box score bingo, hats, dudes, SDA, games for the week to keep an eye on here in the midweek. But I sent you, and I sent the Hoover chat, if the season were to end today, what the SEC tournament would look like. Top seed would go to Texas, Arkansas the 2, Georgia the 3, LSU the 4, but it's really a muddled mess where tiebreakers are coming into effect.
My head hurts so much looking at that yesterday. Oh my God.
For example, and thank you, Michael Boutel at Micah_CBC, who put this out. And I'm taking this as gospel, all right, because Michael covers the league. He's the founder of Just Means Less ACC, talking baseball for college. Yes. College Baseball Central.
That's awesome.
He helps to run, so he's got a pretty big following, helping to grow the game. But yeah, tremendous. Just means
that's my
left.
favorite
ACC.
website of all time.
Yeah, he's spectacular.
Oh my God.
But
I've never heard of that website before, but I love it. That's so amazing. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off. Go on.
It's all right. He's firing off on some of the tiebreaker scenarios. So Georgia, the 3 seed, because over LSU, because the 3 common opponents. So you got to find common opponents when you're trying to determine who is seeded higher than the other if you got the same league record. So in Georgia and LSU's case, who's the same team that they had played? Well, there's 3 of them: Auburn, Texas, and OU. Georgia was 5-4 in those 9 games. LSU was 4-5. So that's how small the margins are here. 5 seed Vandy over Tennessee. So Tennessee the 5, Tennessee the 6 seed, because there's 4 common opponents in Florida, Auburn, Bama, and Texas A&M. Vandy went 9-3, Tennessee 7-5. So 2 games better for Vanderbilt to earn a bump on the seed line. Then 7 through 10, here's a wild one. Alabama falls to 10 off common opponent record versus Vandy 1-2, Rest versus 2-1. Then from there 7-9, decided by common opponents, which led to Auburn 7, OU 8, and Ole Miss at 9. I mean, the jockeying for position here that we have at stake over the final 2 weeks. And this isn't just, exclusive to the SEC, also the ACC, which is single elimination, 16 teams. I don't know what the Big Ten is doing. What is the Big 12 doing, Kahn? How's their format?
I believe the Big 12 is
it's
single
unchanged,
elimination.
right?
No,
Yeah.
I think they went to single elimination.
Okay.
But they used to be double. Let me see. Let me make sure. But I'm pretty positive. Yes, it's single elimination, and it's 12 teams. So it's an increase to 12 teams in a single elimination format. So they have also converted. The Big Ten, I think, is pool play though. I want to say they're like the one that's doing pool play, and we're like, wait, why? What are you doing?
Yeah, they're doing it with.
You weren't
doing
pool
it with
play.
12.
Oh, they are doing pool. Oh my God.
Yep, pool play
Big
with 12,
10.
and that's in Omaha. Yeah,
You had it right. They had it correct.
Do better. We will have a Big West tournament for the first time, and Cal State Fullerton, after an 0-5 start, they're 16-2 in their last 18 games. And we saw UC Irvine drop a series of San Diego this past week. I hadn't checked in on Cal Poly. How's Larry Lee and our friends doing?
So UC Irvine only has a 2-game lead now on Cal Poly in the Big West standings. UC Irvine, though, still number 18 in RPI, 12-6 versus Q1, Q2. So they still got those good metrics, but only a 2-game lead over Cal Poly. Now, it doesn't matter as much anymore because you have this Big West tournament, like you identified, coming up in a couple of weeks. Last year, it would have been, that's big to have a 2-game lead over Cal Poly with 2 weekends left because the winner is just the winner. There's no tournament. Now there's a tournament. So the Big West is going to get even more dicey. The problem with the Big West with UC Irvine losing is the Big West wants to be a multi-bid league. UC Irvine needs to win these games to be a multi-bid league because then they need to have UC Irvine do that, win the regular season title, have these great metrics, and then have one of these other guys win the Big West tournament. Like UC Irvine winning the Big West tournament probably makes them a 1-bid league, I'd imagine. But UC Irvine, they finished with Cal Baptist, Cal State Bakersfield, Cal State Fullerton. They have to win those games. You cannot lose another series. UC Irvine, I think, has already torpedoed themselves in terms of being a top 8 national seed with losing 2 of 3 to UCSD over the weekend. But now they need to win to host. Otherwise, there is no hosting at Irvine if they lose another series. That their margin for error is gone. That's it. You can't lose the midweek. You can't lose a series anymore. You have to win out.
Do you think Northeastern can get in without winning the Colonial Athletic Association tournament? Because by golly, Northeastern has become a legitimate threat to, I think, any regional P4 team once we get to tournament time. Their RPI is at 31 RPI for Northeastern.
Yeah.
Who had a walk-off run rule win over
You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Walk-off run rule win over. I know I'm right, Kahn. I am always right. Okay. Whether I keep my microphone muted or not, it's all intentional. I need you to stop being pissed off. We had a 3-day retreat last week, and you came in here like your dog died today. I need you to pucker up and get your energy and your attitude to a level that is through the roof, equal with your boy. Okay. You're a sourpuss today. I will not allow it.
I am?
Yes.
Okay. Whatever
Vent.
you say.
Do we need to create a therapy session? What's wrong with you?
I'm fine. I don't know what you're I don't know what you're referring to. Anyways, Northeastern, no. Whoever wins the CAA tournament will get in. Unfortunate, but it's because the CAA is the 13th best RPI conference in college baseball. And Northeastern, while they do have a number 32 RPI, they have not played a single Quad 1 game this year, and they are 5-5 in Quad 2 games. Their only booster the rest of the way is against UConn in a midweek next Tuesday. Besides that, they have William and Mary this weekend, and then Delaware, I think they close with. I'm not sure, but they're inconsequential in terms of boosting their tournament resume. I don't think there's any way the CAA is a two-bid league. Unfortunately, because the CAA is 13th best in RPI in terms of conference RPI. So I'd go with no. That's not to diminish with what Northeastern has done. Their only series loss all year was back in late February at Hawaii when they lost 3 of 4. They've won 16 in a row, all the way dating back to April 9th. Just 4 losses since March the 3rd. They are 37-9, 19-2 in the CAA. They have won 6 games by one run rule, 5 of them in the conference, and they have 14 shutouts as a pitching staff, which leads the nation. So Northeastern has put together a phenomenal season. Unfortunately, it's all for naught unless you win the CAA tournament.
They swept Delaware. They had a walk-off run rule win in Game 3. They have UMass Lowell and UConn at UConn, as you indicated already, left in the midweek. At William & Mary, home to North Carolina A&T. 2 teams with RPIs at 218 and 248, respectively. So, yeah, not good at all. However, 6-game lead in their conference. They're cruising, but they have to take care of business in the Coastal. It's not the Colonial anymore. The Coastal Athletic Conference. Still the CAA, just not the Colonial. It is the Coastal Athletic Conference. They've won 25 of 26. 25 of 26. Magic number is number 1 to win the CAA. Magic number is 1-2 for an outright AAC title for UTSA Con. This team has flown under the radar for us all season long, outside of their demolishing of Tulane earlier this year when we highlighted the Roadrunners. But they swept USF this weekend, and they've clinched at least a share of the AAC at this point. Win one more game, and they have it outright. 37-10. They won 12 of 13. Their RPI, give me a guess on their RPI. Don't cheat.
UTSA's RPI, I'm going to go with 102.
There are UTSA, who's winning the AAC.
Yeah.
You're going in the hundreds?
Yeah.
It's 21, bro.
Is it really? Who have they played?
If we get a bid thief, I think UTSA might make the AAC a 2-bid league. This is the reverse.
RPI is that high, really?
This is the reverse calculation of what we just had with Northeastern.
Excuse me, Roadrunners. They are 9-5 in Quad 1 and Quad 2 games. Excuse me. I am so sorry. Holy cow.
At SportsCon 4.
Their non-conference strength of schedule is 78. No, 132. Okay. Who the heck have they played?
Well, they won at
Who
Texas.
Have they played?
They won at Texas A&M March 4th, so that will help. They've got 1 win over DBU in a 3-game series. They also beat Texas in 12 innings, 8-7. So not only did they beat Texas on March 18th, they got a win against Texas A&M on March 4th. Both of those were on the road. 2 out of 3 over Charlotte, sweep of FAU, lost a 1-run game against TCU, 2 out of 3 against UAB, canceled against Corpus Christi, sweep of Wichita State, 2 out of 3 over Tulane. I know you remember the 25-7 loss in 7 innings. Sweep of Memphis, another Corpus Christi game canceled. That's probably good because that would weigh them down against 181 RPI.
Torpedo their RPI,
Yes, total torpedo. Texas State victory and the sweep of USF. So, I mean, more than anything, it's the 18-3 record in the AAC that is buoying up.
Their strength of schedule I almost got, 105. I was close on that.
By Texas and the Texas A&M victories. So they got a 5-0 loss against Baylor in the first week of the season. That could have helped as well. But, 21 on the RPI.
They're 1 behind West Virginia.
That's amazing.
West Virginia's 20. That's insane.
Let's learn about UTSA real quick before we take a break because I know nothing about them. Roadrunners baseball stats.
All right, I'm gonna talk to you about the Sun Belt while you talk to me about UTSA in a minute. So Sun Belt, better conference RPI, number 7 in the country, behind Conference USA, though. We got to highlight 3 teams. Coastal Carolina, 37-11, 20-4 in the Sun Belt, winners of 7 in a row. Southern Miss, 35-13, 18-6 in the Sun Belt, winners of 9 in a row. And then Troy, 34-14, 16-8 in the Sun Belt. That is a 3-team race for who is going to, be a part of the postseason. All teams that are normally accustomed to being a part of the postseason. Coastal Carolina is fighting to be a top 16 seed and be a host. Southern Miss in the rankings. Troy always causes problems in the postseason. So we got 3 teams in the Sun Belt once again that are going to be potent, fiery teams that you do not want to see if you are an NCAA regional team. Shout out Fun Belt. It is fun again.
Do you think, I might have missed it right there, I was looking at UTSA, do you think there's a chance we have 2 Sun Belt teams hosting in Coastal and Southern Miss? There would have to be things that happen, right? Like
if Southern Miss wins the CAA tournament,
Sun Belt.
and I'm sorry, Sun Belt tournament, and we have, and everything else goes to chalk. Yeah. Like they could take, that second team could take UC Irvine's spot. Like if let's say UC Irvine doesn't
That's
win
what
the
I'm
Big
thinking.
West,
Yeah.
Southern Miss is what, 22 in the country right now? I think that's right.
Did they not play during the regular season?
Southern Miss number 21 in the country. Southern Miss doesn't play Coastal?
They didn't play.
Do they play?
What a travesty. No.
Holy smokes.
So if we
How did that happen?
If we get Southern Miss and Coastal in the championship for the Sun Belt tournament,
yeah,
and Southern Miss beats, let's just say Southern Miss is the 2 seed, and Coastal maintains pace as the 1.
Yes.
You would need that scenario number 1 to happen to consider both those Sun Belt teams as 1 of and 2 of 16 regional.
UC Irvine needs to not host for Southern Miss to sneak in. I do want to give a shout out to one more mid-major before we take a break. I know you're ready to talk about UTSA. Can we shout out my preseason Omaha pick, the UConn Huskies? All right. They found it. They are 30-18, 14-4 in the Big East. They've won 4 in a row. They've won 17 of 18, won the last 12 in the Big East. They just dropped a 55-burger at Villanova over the weekend in a 3-game sweep. 19-7, 29-10 program record in runs for UConn, and then 7-5 in comeback fashion on Sunday. They had a guy named Sam Biller who had 13 RBIs this weekend. All right? Don't sleep on Jim Penders and the baseball Huskies. All right? They are coming in like a freight train, unstoppable style. So I wanted to shout them out because they had a heck of a weekend and they're on a heck of a run right now. Get UConn to Omaha. I'm starting the trend right now. All right?
They're playing like an Omaha team, and you would not have expected that through the first couple of weeks, if not
they were
the first
horrid
month of the season.
They were bad.
UTSA has jumped 116 spots in the RPI in total this season.
They were 116 spots? You said they were 137?
Yeah.
Wow. Good job, Roadrunners.
Highest ranking the Roadrunners have achieved, and their lowest ranking, their lowest all season was 143 on March 11th. So that's more than 116.
122.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for UTSA. That's cool. It's not going to be ECU this year out of the American.
No.
That's the truth.
Roadrunners.
Holy cow.
Maybe are inside top 30 in batting average, doubles per game, hit by pitch, hits, on base percentage, runs, sac fly, scoring, slugging, strikeout to walk ratio, win loss percentage per 9. Defense is strong. I mean, the team individually, they have 7 guys hitting over 300. They only have 1 guy with double digit home runs at 13. And Drew, I have no idea. Dettelson. We need help, folks. At Kyle Schass at SportsCon4. We're trying to put some respect on the name of the Roadrunners.
Do they have game notes?
They haven't flown under our radar. They just haven't been on the radar, okay, at all. And I would expect them to have game notes, but I've already caught a math error by, on the RPI. So let's see if we can find the.
Oh, they have game notes. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Who,
Here we
who
go.
are we looking up? Drew
Detlefsen.
Yes.
Yep. Pronounced.
I'm thinking of Detlef Shrimp.
Yeah.
Shrimp.
Ooh, Detlef Shrimp. Played with Sean Kemp, a father of many children. Detlefsen.
Okay,
Drew
just slip that in there.
Hey, any opportunity we can talk about Sean Kemp, let's do it. All right, let's take a break. Let's come back with a little box score bingo. What do you say? Tee up some of the games to look at in the midweek. 15 minutes. That's all I ask. Okay.
All right.
We'll be back in a minute. Dugouts, dumbbells, and dingers.
A true teammate takes on every day with a winner's attitude, gets up when they fall down, and leaves it all on the field. There's a group of teammates who do all these things every single day. But they're more than your typical athlete. They're kids dealing with unthinkable medical circumstances. Team Impact matches children facing serious illness or disability with college sports teams, creating a long-term, life-changing experience for everyone involved. Help us get all kids in the game. Visit teamimpact.org. Team Impact. All in, all together.
College softball season is in full swing, and we're just the ones to talk about it. Join me, former Stanford Cardinal and award-winning broadcaster Jenna Becerra and Amanda Lorenz every week as we deliver the latest in college softball on the D1 Softball Podcast. We've got all the latest, whether it is in the circle or in the batter's box. We have interviews with coaches, players, and many more. We'll go through the week's top 25 poll and give our insights, as well as our plays, wins, and whiffs of the week. Let us get you in the know on all things college softball. Listen on D1Softball.com and the Varsity Network app.
Speaking of Southern Miss, I've been speaking with longtime SID Jack Duggan, the old left-hander who helps the team up sometimes and even helped to step in for one John Cox, the legendary voice of the Golden Eagles. Duggan's going to try and provide us a Southern Miss-infused guest for Thursday's show. So fingers crossed on that one. Otherwise, we'll try to work through some other contingencies, get you a guest on Thursday's show. We will stop at nothing, okay? Nothing for Thursday's show to be more than just the Kyle Schassberger and the David Kahn show. I do want to remind you before the box score bingo, SEC tournament for softball starts today. 1 o'clock first pitch, 13-seeded Kentucky, 12-seeded Georgia, 12:45 p.m. Eastern time is when the coverage starts. Now, unless you're consuming this live right now, but most of you are going to be getting into this after the fact, just know there's 3 games on Tuesday. Find the SEC Radio Network on the Varsity Network app, and you can listen from Tuesday all the way through Saturday's championship game, which is at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4:45 network start. But you're going to have 4 games on Wednesday, 4 games on Thursday, quarterfinal round, 2 semifinal games on Friday before the championship game on Saturday. We have boots on the ground, 3 dudes, Zach DeBozar, Dan Courts, and Rob Joyce, who's coordinating the whole thing. They'll be there in Athens this week. All 3 of the dudes, Con, from my understanding, are getting reps here on Tuesday with Debo out of the gate. Rob Joyce, I think, has game number 2, and then Dan Courts will have the nightcap. So Kentucky, Georgia, Missouri, Ole Miss, Auburn, Alabama get the festivities started in Athens on Tuesday. Listen to the SEC tournament all week long on the Varsity Network app and the SEC Radio Network.
What are the odds that Rob Joyce calls an extra inning game longer than 13 innings?
I think it's pretty good. Was the 13-inning game last year, or was that a couple?
I think it was 2 years ago. Didn't he have like a 15-inning game or something? I don't know. He always gets the lengthy game with a rain delay. So, Rob, we're pulling for you, buddy. But yeah, tune in. Can't wait to listen to those 3. And speaking of the Varsity Network app, we should remind folks that, yes, we'll be in Hoover in 2 weeks' time. But in 3.5 weeks' time, it's back. The second edition of the NCAA Baseball Regional Rundown Show. Yours truly, David Kahn, Kyle Schassberger, host of others, will be with you. Whip around regional style coverage. We will have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, every single game that's on the radio. We will have a feed. We had it last year. 60 of the 64 teams had radio, and we had all their feeds dialed up, injected into your veins on the Varsity Network app. We had Westwood One's live coverage of the Women's College World Series. We'll have that again, too. It's coming back. It's going to be bigger and better than ever. We're going to go longer. We went 3 to 11 last year. We're going longer this year, all right? We're going 1 to 11, at least. We may go longer. We don't even know. We have total control, and we're going to throw everything out in the kitchen sink at you, and it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. So make sure you tune in for that. Friday, May 30th to Monday, June 2nd. Those are the 4 dates. Dial it up. NCAA Baseball Regional Rundown Show exclusively on the Varsity Network app. We'll be on there. You already listened to us, so listen to us some more. 40 hours of your weekend is covered by us.
Folks can't get enough of us, bro.
No.
They just can't.
No,
They just
they
can't. 1 to 11, I felt like it was a good arbitrary time to
Yeah,
send
I like it.
weekend. So it may change, but I think 1 o'clock's a good starting point because you're going to have a couple
Well,
of games already underway, and you just
I
kind of throw it
agree.
out. 11 should cover most of it. Monday, definitely TBD. We just got to see what games exist still once we get to Monday.
Right. I agree because remember, our very first game out of the gates, we jumped into Wake Forest and East Carolina in the 9th inning. That was how we started the baseball regional rundown show last year with the drama in Greenville. So we need to build up to that drama a little bit more. My intro was about 30 seconds of, hello, folks, we're doing this for the first time. Let's go to Greenville. That was it. Yeah. So we gotta have a little more build up to that. So 1 to 11, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for sure. Monday, TBD. Follow our socials. Follow Learfield socials at Learfield Audio at CS Now Tweets. We'll retweet it from 3D Dingers as well. Our socials at SportsCon4 at Kyle Schass. Everyone else is going to be a part of it. We had Kyle Schass. We had Paul Roper, Gabe Genovese, Dan Courts, hoping to recruit more of the crew from our Learfield studios into this event that we put on, this Herculean-style 4-day gauntlet that we are putting on once again. But it's going to be a great time. Can't wait for it.
All right, box score bingo. Let's just pick up with the UConn conversation because there's one game in particular from May 3rd, which is Saturday. I also want to talk about Michigan and Ohio State. As Michigan took care of business easily in Columbus over Ohio State on the weekend, particularly in one game, and then Western Kentucky and Louisiana Tech was wild in the finale where Louisiana Tech lost all 3 games at Western Kentucky. After WKU got swept by Florida International, inexplicably the week before they returned home to Bowling Green, and then they take 3 from Louisiana Tech in a rain-riddled, weather-infected series that saw the Hilltoppers win going away in a doubleheader. Also on the weekend. Yes. So UConn and Villanova, take me to, which is this, game 2 of the series?
Yes, game 2. It was a final of 29-10, but I just want to read the UConn line score because it's amazing. 2 runs in the first, 2 runs in the 6th, 2 runs in the first, 6 runs in the second, 2 runs in the third, 13 in the fourth, 5 in the fifth, 1 in the 6th, zeros the rest of the way. My biggest gripe with all of this, here's the weather. Sunny, 78, 11-mile-per-hour winds. Here's the attendance. Less than 300 announced. What are you doing, people of Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania? Come on out to Villanova Ballpark. It is a gorgeous day for baseball. And you're telling me you had 300 announced attendance there? Come on now. I blame the people of Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania for not supporting their Wildcats even more. That is shameful.
It's a great point you bring up. They are 4-11 in the Big East, 20-24 overall, so they're used to losing on the diamond. So, it might not be come to those 297 folks or whatever it is, sub 300, as much of a surprise that their team took the behind beating that they did at the hands of the Huskies this past weekend. But, it's beautiful out. It's a Saturday. Right. Like, if anything, and this game couldn't have been a night game, right? Like, it had to have been middle of the day.
12:30 first pitch.
I mean, come on. Get your weekend going. Get your Saturday started with a trip out to the ballpark. Catch some baseball. Just and take the Kyle Schassberger route. Just go for a couple innings, shake hands, kiss babies, grab a beer, whatever. Get a dog. And then get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And go do other things. But make an appearance.
Yeah, you could have seen guys like Caleb Spurr go 7 for 7 with 6 RBIs. You could have seen Sam Biller have 5 RBIs. You could have seen Grant MacArthur go 2 for 5 with 6 RBIs. You could have seen, count them, 5 homers by the Huskies. All right? Now, I get it. You're probably rooting for Villanova because this is at Villanova Ballpark, but you still could have seen some high-level baseball there. What are we doing?
I don't know, man. Tough scene at Villanova. 23-1 was the final score in Game 1 of a series against Ohio State.
I've got it. Don't you worry. Here it comes. Box score flying in. Here we go.
Michigan used a 16-run 4th inning. 16 runs. Largest Michigan win in the all-time series against Ohio State. The 16 runs in the 4th inning, Kahn, came on only 4 hits.
Yeah. Look at what I just highlighted.
23 runs on 13 hits in total.
Mm-hmm. That's the shocker to me. By the way, Ohio State, rough year. 11-31, 3-19 in the Big Ten. Yikes.
Tough to see it.
Goodness gracious.
Justin Hare.
And then
Yikes.
game 2 got postponed.
Yeah.
And Ohio State's game against Ohio tonight got canceled. So it's just go from bad to worse.
So in this 3-game series, Michigan won 23-1, 11-4, and 13-3. So they did get all 3 games in. They did sweep, but none was worse than the 23-1 beatdown that saw every Wolverine starter reach base and score.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Oh, that's sensational
First time Michigan had scored 20 runs in a game in 3 seasons.
Okay.
Again, largest in the series. The 16-run 4th inning, the most Michigan has scored in one frame since a 10-run 3rd inning against Louisville 3 years ago.
Okay.
Let's see. Anything else notable? I think that pretty much covers it. I mean,
all right. Should we go to the Hill then? Talk about Western Kentucky, Louisiana Tech, and the smackdown 1st inning that we had in that game.
Yeah, and
not only was 22-12, but there was 19 runs scored in the 1st inning. Louisiana Tech scored 7. Western Kentucky says, "Screw that. We're scoring 12 in the 1st inning." I mean, come on.
So this series went Western Kentucky's way in all 3 games. Again, after getting swept last week by FIU, they beat Kentucky in the midweek 7-4, and then won 9-8 over Tech, 5-4 in 7 innings. It was a 7-inning doubleheader on Sunday to get these games in after they were unable to play at all on Saturday. And Friday's game had gotten pushed back. They tried to move that one up to like 1:30, ended up having to move it all the way back to 7 or 8 whenever they got it started. Either way, they go into game 3 of the series, game 2, the doubleheader on Sunday, a 7-inning contest. They knew that from the start. And 7 runs for Louisiana Tech. You got to think, okay, this is beautiful. Like, we're in great position here to at least get out with a win. All right. We've done everything we can. This has been a long, grueling weekend, fighting the weather, jumping from the hotel back to the bus, to the ballpark, back and forth, waiting game, trying to play amateur meteorologist. Nothing has gone our way. Lost a couple of close games, 2 one-run games, 9-8 late on Friday, and then 5-4 in the first doubleheader game on Sunday. So you remain at the ballpark, you reset, you get your 45 minutes in between, whatever it may be, and you go out and put 7 runs on the board. Then what happens? Western Kentucky hits you for 12.
Yeah. Haymaker, night-night.
My favorite part of this, though, is 12-7, the first inning score. That was the score on the gridiron, the final score in the football game these two played on November 16th. Can't make this stuff up. Only baseball would deliver us the parallels to football in such a weird and bonanza-like sort of way.
What?
12-7 is the score that Louisiana Tech beat Western Kentucky on November 16th in football.
Wow.
And as the score would tell you everything you need to know, it was a bad game, right? 12-7 was the final score in football on November 16th. It was 12-7 after 1 inning of game 3 of the series, with Western Kentucky holding the upper hand by 5. They go on to win 22-12. I don't know if there's much more to dive into on the actual box itself other than the first inning score, but
nope, there's not.
Yeah, that was a tough scene.
That's awesome. What a great find by you. Well done. That's truly tremendous. Oh my goodness. All right. Where do we go next? You want to go dudes? We already talked about your SDA.
Yeah, I had another SDA. I had another SDA too. The Yankees dad, which I know you'll love, with the toddler, his daughter on his shoulders at the game, and the foul ball or the ball is coming their way. He's got her up on his shoulders. His daughter then starts to cover his eyes as the ball is coming towards him, and he has a glove on. Fortunately, he had a glove. Now, you know how I feel about grown men with gloves, but he had his kid with him, and his daughter couldn't have been 3, maybe older than 4 years old, so maybe he was trying to teach her good habits, right? But she's on his shoulders. She covers his eyes, and he can't see, but he was able to at least see at the last second before his eyes are completely covered where the ball is, and it goes off his heel, but he's able to kind of corral it still against his chest. So it was a beautiful father-daughter moment. Obviously, that speaks to me. those are my SDAs. What's your SDA?
I actually didn't have one. So
okay, dudes, Anthony Ianson, 2-1 win for LSU. I mentioned him earlier off top of the show in that Game 2 victory. 14 Ks, 1 walk, 112 total pitches, 3 hits, 9 innings pitched. The other thing about Anthony Ianson, as I learned going through my SEC tournament prep, this dude in high school played quarterback, wide receiver, safety, and kicker.
What?
Yes. He did all of those things.
Holy
and he was also
cow.
a stud on the mound. So he helped LSU even the series they eventually lost. I've got another dude, 2 more real quick. Kyson Witherspoon.
Yes.
Okay, we've talked about him a couple of times. The Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Did you know he had a twin brother on the team too?
Malachi?
Yeah, but not nearly as effective. But Kyson,
well, he can't.
7 innings, 1 hit. Well, he's not. I think he's come more out of the pen, right? You would know. You saw Oklahoma last year.
I did, and at that point, it was Kyson starting Malachi out of the pen. I think Malachi has kind of been a Swiss Army knife type guy this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, his numbers pale. Well, it's hard to.
Kyson has better numbers this year.
It's hard to have numbers comparable to what Kyson is doing anyways. Against the last 3 ranked SEC opponents, he's gone 21 innings, 1 earned run, 22 Ks in those last 3 games against ranked teams. They took 2 out of 3 from Ole Miss. Ole Miss remains undefeated on Game 3 of a road SEC series this year as they still salvage a game on the road in Norman. But he went 7 innings, 1 hit, 8 Ks, 3 walks for Kyson Witherspoon this past weekend. And then I want to introduce you to a number 1 seed's worst nightmare come NCAA tournament time. Have you heard of Yale's Jack Oman?
Yes, I have actually.
Jack Oman, O-H-M-A-N. His dad played 10 years in the major leagues, was drafted in 98 by the Chicago Cubs. Jack Oman is a righty at 6 feet, 175, soaking wet, probably barely 175. This is probably why he didn't get looks beyond, an Ivy League school. But he went to Ivy, as his bio indicates, because he's choosing opportunity and culture. And he's a smart guy, obviously, to be able to go to an Ivy League school. But I would think after his performance to this point in the season, and Yale is currently right there near the top, right behind Columbia, just 3 games back in the win column. Columbia is done for the year, waiting on the Ivy League tournament now, coming up in roughly 11 days. Still for Yale, they've got 3 games at Dartmouth left. So if they take care of business, they've already taken 2 out of 3 from Columbia. They would earn the 1 seed in the Ivy League tournament, but it sets up as a Columbia Ivy League championship game against Yale. If Yale can get to the tournament and have Jack Oman going up against a number 1 seed, this dude is going to inflict the worst sort of pain
yes, he
on
is.
said number 1 seed. This guy is 7-0 on the year. He's got a .89 ERA that leads the nation. The only one with a sub 1.00 ERA.
That's why I've heard of him.
Yeah. 60 2/3 innings in 10 appearances. He's allowed only 10 hits across those 60-plus innings. 6 earned runs, 10 runs in total, 71 strikeouts, 17 walks, 7-0 again. 0.89 ERA out of Mesa, Arizona.
Smokes.
Yeah.
Wow. He threw a complete game shutout against Columbia, in fact.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago where they won 2 out of 3 against the Lions.
Wow. Man, does he earn ass honors? Is he on the ass team?
I've got it written down on the bottom of my page.
Oh, there we go. Jack Oman, welcome to the All Schass squad.
Ass honors for Jack Oman. All Schass squad selection. I felt like I needed another pitcher and a 0.89 ERA. Okay.
Yeah. So you have Blake Gillespie and Jet Music, who's an outfielder / pitcher. So a reminder of the All Schass squad, James Quinn Irons, Golden Spikes Award possibility from George Mason, which, by the way, our boy Jack DeLongshaw is calling George Mason baseball tonight. He let me know.
Very nice.
Jet Music from Campbell, Maximus Martin, great name, from Kansas State, Blake Gillespie from Charlotte, Malachi Knight from Washington, the D1 baseball staffers added last week, and then Jack Oman from Yale. You don't have any lefties, though. You need a lefty. You need a southpaw on your squad.
Okay. Well, I'll go find a lefty by Thursday or next Tuesday.
Jack Oman's a righty, right? He's a righty.
Yeah, he's a righty.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you need to go find a lefty, Schass.
Okay, I'll go get me a lefty.
But you've now got 6 players, 3 pitchers, 2 outfielders, or 3 pitchers, 3 outfielders, and an infielder, and then the D1 baseball staffers, which we all know. If anybody's taken the field in mashing, it's our boy Joe Healy, because he is yoked.
I was watching some SEC weekend wayward points over the weekend, and he's got even a glass that's totally in character he's drinking water from that has a fat palm tree on the front of it. So I think I'm going to fight him for it.
In Hoover?
Yeah.
Nice. I love it. Okay, my dudes, I have two as well. We go to the great city of Morgantown, West Virginia. First up, Jack Kartsonis continues to be my dude because he continues to shove. He has now thrown 4 starts for West Virginia. He now has an ERA of 1.01 in 4 starts, 26 and 2/3 innings, 3 earned runs, 22 strikeouts, 7 walks, only 4 extra base hits allowed of 17 overall. He shoved against Texas Tech in the rubber match, 7 scoreless, 7 Ks, no walks, only 5 hits, as West Virginia won the series over the Red Raiders. The mustachioed man is dealing. He has solved the issue of the Sunday starter for West Virginia. All right? Jack Kartsonis, put some respect on the name. There's already respect on the mustache. I still don't have the story. I am trying to find out the story of the mustache. I will get it before the end of the year. I'm determined. But he is a dude of the week. And also, Kyle West hit a 421-foot mammoth bomb on top of the new Biomechanics and Performance Center. It landed on the roof way out beyond right center field. And then West Virginia actually put up a really great video of the ball landing on the roof, and then after the game, retrieving the ball from the roof and someone knocking it down and Kyle West catching it for the 50th home run of his college career.
Very cool. Kyle West has a nice little mustache in his picture too.
Yeah, he does. He does indeed.
It's not as vibrant. It's not as full, but all right. Give me your hat tip.
Okay, my hat tip. Have you ever seen the show Hot Ones on YouTube?
The Wings.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So some friends of mine had a Hot One style competition on Saturday. Not really competition. We just ordered a bunch of wings and had some hot sauces and kind of ordered them from medium to, death and tried all of them. I didn't try all of them, but you know me, I'm not like a spice hot guy, whatever. So I went from the medium to the medium hot to the hot, and I actually did extra hot. And then I did the last dab, which is always the last sauce in the hot ones, and I did that one begrudgingly, but I was peer pressured into it. I have never put something that tasted more diabolical in my mouth than that. It tasted like jet fuel, and I've never injected or drank jet fuel, but I imagine that's what it tasted like. It was the worst thing I've ever tasted in my life, and then my stomach was destroyed for the rest of the evening. I felt like you when you did the challenge.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, the Hellfire Challenge at Timmy's in Winston.
So I did it just to say I could do it, and I did a decent amount of the last dab, enough to taste it and feel it. In my mouth, I was crying. My mouth was on fire. It was horrible. I survived. I'm fine. But my hat tip is to the folks that can do that and not have any kind of emotion, because holy crap, that tasted awful. So my hat tip is to the folks that have completed the Hot Ones challenge in its entirety, because I skipped quite a few of them after the last dab. I was like, I am done. Tap out. Mercy on me. So hat tip to those folks who have completed the Hot Ones challenge. Good on you, because you have injected some truly lethal liquids into your body.
I'm just so proud of you that you actually did that.
I know. I'm proud of myself too.
It's very.
I regret it completely, but I'm proud of that I did it, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, when I did the Hellfire Challenge, I mean, it was like I was going into labor. I don't know what that looks like. My definition of just being in the fetal position on my own bed and then laying by the toilet and nothing happening at all to my body other than feeling like somebody is pogo sticking and trampolining off of my stomach throughout the night. I mean, it was the worst, most excruciating pain that I've ever endured from inserting any sort of food into my mouth. So it was, it's hellish, man. So I feel for you. I can certainly empathize with you there. We learned a lot about empathy last week, and I think you took that assignment to heart, because you sent me something on Instagram this past weekend. It is the greatest thing that you have ever sent me that actually hits home, pulls on every single heartstring that I have inside my skeletal structure. That is one von Kyle Schass Bugger, as my U.S. history teacher used to refer to me as. Von Schassenburger, like I was some Englishman. I learned that there is a lettuce club because of you and a DM you sent at the University of Minnesota. And where the hell has the annual meeting of Lettuce Club been my entire life? Because I would have parachuted into this thing years ago to test my mettle against these lettuce-consuming students who put their talents to the test to see who can eat 1 pound head of lettuce the fastest. Now, this happened, I think, on Friday.
Yes, it was recent. It just happened. That's why I sent it to you, because it literally just occurred over the weekend.
It was trending, and it somehow found your algorithm because it wasn't finding mine. In spite of me having a head of lettuce, I was going to grab that part of the start of the show, but I figured we'd be approaching 90 minutes, even though we only wanted to do an hour, and I didn't want it to get warm because I will be eating my head of lettuce, at least, a third of it here for my lunch today. So it is in the fridge, roughly 90 feet away from me right now, down the first base line. But 3 minutes and 30 seconds it took for Ethan Lai. Yes. 3 minutes and 30 seconds to eat the entire head of lettuce. And I thought it was interesting because all these students gather on campus and they can use dressings or other, things to help the lettuce go down. There's a picture of Ethan Lai. Yeah, I think that's week 2.
No dressing.
Holding a bottle of ranch and his head of lettuce prior to the start. So, and then he's being announced as the victor in a side-by-side photo. I'm looking at a Twin Cities publication, Axios, the local story, where he's dropped down to a knee as if he is proposing to the MC artist who is announcing his victory for all.
I think he's being knighted as the new lettuce king. I believe that's what it is.
Okay.
Anyways, the record is 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Could you eat a pound of lettuce in less than 2:35?
I'd love to try. Maybe we should make this part of our programming here between now and Hoover.
Hoover? Okay, I'm down.
Yeah.
All right.
Live stream our own little lettuce club. And I am the founding member in
You're the only member.
I am the founding member
you.
And the only member.
Because Luke Hallett will not do that challenge with you. He will not eat. He doesn't do vegetables. So lettuce will not be consumed by him.
Okay, so I am the founding member and the only member of the North Carolina chapter of the Lettuce Club.
Yes.
And at some point between now and when we embark upon our trip to Hoover for the SEC baseball tournament, I will look to consume live on this stream, on this podcast, Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers, an entire 1 pound head of lettuce.
Yes.
In 2 minutes and 35 seconds or less.
Yes.
So I can thwart whoever it is that set the record for the annual meeting of the Lettuce Club at the University of Minnesota. I am coming for that belt, and I will do so live here on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers in less than 2 weeks. Mark it down.
I love it. I love it. I will have to come up with something to talk about for 2 minutes and 35 seconds while you do this.
It's going down, baby. It's going down.
No dressing, though. Zero dressing. You're not allowed.
Zero dressing. I am not soft. I do not need dressing.
You can have water. You can have water if you want it.
Well, the thing is, the head of lettuce is made of water. It is water. That's what makes it
what
such
I'm
a
saying.
beautiful snack. That's why I walk around the office all the time with it and keep one on reserve in the fridge. It's great for a meal. And I don't normally eat a whole head of lettuce at one time, so this has never been done. And now I'm trying to do it for speed because these University of Minnesota students are stumping me. They're trying to one-up me, and I was not aware. And how is it that I just became aware of this? Like, I just feel left out. I feel insulted. I feel shunned.
How long this has been going on? Like, how long has the University of Minnesota Lettuce Club been a thing?
I don't know, man. I got to keep digging through the Google machine here.
I'm on the Minnesota Daily's article for this.
Oh, yeah. Let me click on that one, too. Actually, no. I'm going to click on a different one.
The current all-time record, 2 minutes and 35 seconds, Hampton Weber in 2021.
Hampton Weber, I'm about to dethrone you. And I'm going to bring you down to North Carolina on your dime. You're going to fly down and you're going to knight me.
Well, so the winner each year is crowned the head lettuce and serves as the club's president for the next year. So the current president is Ethan Lai, who ate it in 3 minutes and 32 seconds. So Ethan has to come down here to crown you.
Well,
and
Ethan
the head
Lai's
lettuce
the one
is also responsible for planning next year's meeting.
Ethan Lai's the one who won it this past week. So
yes.
Yeah, but not in the 235. It was like 330.
No. That was Hampton Weber in 2021.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. Oh, actually, excuse me. It was a tie. They had a tie this year. Ethan and Jared Burnett but Jared Burnett is graduating, so he
Yeah.
can't be the club president. So they gave it to Ethan.
I saw that on the video. That was on the video. You must not have even watched the whole damn video.
I did watch the video. I actually forgot. I did see this and I forgot, but I'm trying to figure out when this started. Oh, there's an Instagram page for this, Schass, at Original Lettuce Club. You should follow this page on Instagram, at Original Lettuce Club. There is a page for it. Lettuce Club history. They have a Google Doc. Lettuce Club history. It appears it was started in the fall of 2019. There are rules. Holy smokes. There are rules to this. I am enthralled by this right now.
Okay, we will review this in due time.
Yes.
And we will set the date by this Thursday's pod. We will have this locked down. I'm thinking it's got to be.
There you go. I just sent you the rules in the chat. Iceberg lettuce only.
Okay. All right. Might be on next Tuesday's show, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We will formalize these details. We will get them to you. We will promote accordingly. And I will look to supplant University of Minnesota record holder of 2 minutes, 35 seconds with 1 pound full head of lettuce live on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. All right, hit me with your favorite games of the midweek so we can say goodbye.
Holy smokes. I completely forgot we were talking about baseball. Yeah, okay. Let's see. I have Vandy at Louisville, Troy against Alabama, Clemson at Coastal, NC State at UNCW, Arizona at Grand Canyon, Oregon versus St. Mary's, and USC at UCSB. All of those games are tonight. Those are my games.
Sounds good to me, man. Those are the ones I'll be watching. You picked them out. I got another softball game tonight with Pudge. She's got 3 games this week, and then just one more next week. So 4, she lost last night. So 3 regular season games remaining before the postseason. Postseason's here for everyone, man. Goes by quick. I also had to sign her up. Didn't have to, but we signed her up for a softball camp at Guilford College the week we returned from Chicago. It's a multi-day camp by Nike. It's a Nike softball camp. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Although it's not fun in my checkbook. $480. David Kahn,